GM. I'm Flywill. This is Miguel, and we're gonna talk about Worldcoin today. Um, so, in case you haven't heard about us, Worldcoin, the shiny orb, and World ID, the identity protocol that we're building, it we're gonna start with a little bit of the story. So obviously, the world is changing very fast. We now have some amazing stuff coming in, AI, robotics, you name it, right? And it's becoming a little bit more of a problem of what is actually human and what are actually bots online, right? We're starting to see how intelligence is really no longer a discriminator online. And these sort of problems start to come up, right? Particularly in the exciting world of AI, and with all of these advancements, it's getting really hard to know what's real out there. How do we make sure that value is fairly distributed and that we're prioritizing humans, right? So all of this comes to personhood. Why did personhood go away? But personhood, I don't know, I'm sorry about that animation. All right, it's not a demo if something doesn't fail, right? But personhood. So this is what it's all about. World ID, what we're gonna talk about here today is about personhood and distinguishing real humans in the digital space. So Worldcoin, this is the goal of Worldcoin. Build our largest network of real humans, and we're doing this by giving away the ownership. So we are launching the Worldcoin token, which will be distributed to every human on the planet just for being humans. And we're doing this because we can do personhood verification and ensure that a single person can only claim their share once. And of course, you run into the issue very quickly. How do you know who is a real and unique person, right? We've all seen this before. Civil attacks, quite easy to replicate yourself and make it look like you're 100 people and kind of like game the system. So this is the problem we started to solve, and that we're now offering in an open protocol for anyone to be able to leverage. For Worldcoin, we want to do this in a fully private, inclusive, and robust way. So what does this mean is we want everyone to be able to have access to this. We want all data to be privacy preserving and kept in the ownership of users. And we want it to scale beyond 1 billion people. So we explored a lot of options. All of this turned out to be infeasible. I mean, email or phone. I think we can all create right now 1,000 of them very quickly. IDs is a lot of people, turns out, don't have IDs. You'll run into a lot of issues with the different types of IDs, forgeries, all of this. Web of Trust is actually a great solution once you have a trusted seed of humans, but then how do you bootstrap this? And then that leaves biometrics. So within the realm of biometrics, of course, there's several options, right? And these are just some of the options that we explored. But again, we ran into different issues. You know, fingerprints, it's easy to spoof. Remember, here we're trying to demonstrate that you're a unique person, not that you are you. So when you're, for instance, using your fingerprint to get into your office, you are just demonstrating that your fingerprint belongs to you. Whereas here, you know, I could very easily make a little cut in my finger, and now I'm a different person. Face doesn't have enough entropy to recognize beyond billions of humans. DNA is very intrusive, very logistically complicated, not a good option. So that leaves Iris, and that is how the orb operates through the entropy of the Iris. Then next problem is, all right, we know that we can use Iris to recognize 1 billion humans. How do we get the entropy of the Iris? And then again, we went through different options, and I mean, the TLDR here is phone sensors are very very varied, and most of them don't have the resolution that's needed to extract the entropy to distinguish 1 billion people, and even then you get into issues with trusted hardware, right? Like, how do we make sure that you're not using a rooted phone that's feeding false data? And that's why we ended up building custom hardware, which is the ORF. Yeah, this was a little bit of a long time to build, but here's the output. This little guy here. As you can see, we went through quite a few prototypes, all the way to this is where we are today, and a little bit of a sneak peek just for you guys of where we're gonna be tomorrow. This is already we are in test phases for this newer version. The whole idea is these ores are produced to be in untrusted environments and very easy to operate, so that anyone can come in, do the verification, and walk away with their verified World ID. The ORF does these 3 things. It makes sure you're a real, alive person. It makes sure that you're not doing anything fraudulent, like, for instance, that it's not like 2 people standing close together, prosthetics, you're not wearing glasses or things like that would interfere with the entropy of your iris. It checks that you're unique, and it verifies your World ID. And this is your World ID. So World ID, you can think of it as a digital passport that lives in your phone, is completely self-custodial. World ID is based out of a key pair that is created on your phone, only lives there, and it's very the public key is what gets inserted on chain once your identity is verified. So beyond personhood, because your World ID already recognizes you as a unique human, more credentials can eventually be attached and issued within your World ID protocol, right? So today we are supporting the ORF verification, and we are launching a beta for phone verification. So kind of like the 2 ends of the proof of personhood spectrum. But the protocol is completely decentralized and agnostic. So we envision very soon other credentials will start to show up and issued by different parties. The World ID protocol. So these are the guiding principles for the World ID protocol. First and foremost is privacy first. It's not like privacy is an afterthought. If we start with privacy, and we'll talk about a little bit more about privacy in a second. It's completely decentralized. The source of truth is on chain. It's a smart contract, and that's it. Permissionless, and all of it is open source. The hardware of the orb is already open source as well. You can already check it online. And we'll continue to open source the software and everything else, because that's what it's all about. So how can you use World ID? There's two ways to use World ID. You can use it as a signing mechanism, signing with Worldcoin, very easy. Or we have an advanced version that lets you do what we call anonymous actions. So signing, very simple. You add a button in your app, in your website, signing with Worldcoin, and the user authenticates using their World ID. The benefits that you get is you get this credential on how likely the person authenticating is to be a human, because they've either verified at a node or they have phone verification, right? So as more signals get added, then this can become a continuous spectrum and let you verify at different levels. So if you're building, I just heard an idea about a dispatcher that prevents civil attacks and bots. You could do something like, well, if you're verified, we'll give you 100 transactions an hour. But if you only have phone, we'll give you 5. If you have nothing, we'll give you 0, right? It's kind of like it can be thought more of a spectrum as more than binary. Anonymous actions is for a little bit more enhanced privacy use cases. For signing with Worldcoin, the person verifying will always give the app the same identifier to make sure that you're the same person authenticating. For anonymous actions, you can actually generate different identifiers for each of the actions that the user is executing. So a good example of this is voting, right? So say you're building a voting platform, you want each proposal to be voted only once per person, but you don't want to be able to link votes of the same person across proposals. So if I vote yes to proposal A and no to proposal B, we never want to be able to link those votes together. So what we can do is each of these proposals can be separate actions and therefore like privacy preserved across. All of this is accomplished because whenever you're using World ID, you do so with zero knowledge proofs. And the zero knowledge cryptography is what is one of the biggest privacy components of the entire protocol. You cannot use the World ID credentials without going through the zero knowledge proofs, which make it impossible to track users across applications or to kind of like break the privacy there. Yep, you're good. I'll leave you with Miguel to show you a cool demo.
Yeah, so first of all, I'm just going to speed through this because this is basically the fallback if the internet breaks, but we're hoping that will be able to actually demo this in real time. But as Paulo was saying, the really cool thing about World ID is that it works on-chain and it can also work off-chain if you need to. We have an API. It still goes on-chain either way. But the really cool thing about this is that if you're completely new to Web3, which I think some people here might be, or also developers that are not really that into crypto, you can still get the full privacy guarantees that Worldcoin provides without any of that. And it's also really, really easy to integrate. I'm going to show you that now. So first of all, I'm going to go really fast here because we're a little short on time, but everything that I'm saying here, if you go to docs.worldcoin.org, we have an excellent documentation that you can look into. It will explain how to do everything. I will jump across it right now, but yeah, basically anything that you miss, it's going to be in there. And there'll be a link in the end of the presentation as well, and a QR code and everything. So the demo that we had the screenshot here is ChatGPT. I feel like at this point anyone knows it. This is not the official ChatGPT. It's a clone that we made just to showcase how easy it is to integrate along with Worldcoin. So in this case, we are using Auth0, which is a platform that allows you to provide authentication services. And it's actually the same one that OpenAI chooses. And the really cool thing about all of this is that it took 0 lines of code to get this to integrate with Worldcoin, because signing with Worldcoin uses the same standard that signing with Google, signing with Twitter, signing with Apple uses, meaning that if you have any kind of package or library that supports any of those, like Passport, Supabase, Auth0, any kind of code that connects with those, you can probably really easily make it work with Worldcoin as well. And so the way that this works is the user will click continue with Worldcoin, and then that loads up a QR code. And then on the user's phone, they would go to the Worldcoin app here, and then they just click the little QR at the top and scan the QR code. Now, you don't need to actually get scanned to download the app. You can use the phone signal that Paolo mentioned if you don't want to get scanned for any reason. And if you cannot get a hold of us also for like the staging environment, kind of like the testnet, you don't need any of this at all. You can just go right ahead. But I will get this pop-up on my phone. And as I click verify, it will generate the zero knowledge proof in my phone, send it over to the computer, and then I will be logged in. And in this demo, basically, we just like add a little human mode as a joke. Again, this is not the real ChatGPT. But again, sign in with Worldcoin, 0 lines of code to implement. You can obviously do it with code, but you don't need to, which is the really cool thing. For a slightly more complex example, basically, we have anonymous actions. And as Paolo mentioned, anonymous actions are more usually for on-chain use case or use cases where you don't really want to persist, I know who this user is, and more want to let them do, well, anonymous actions. So for example, let's say that you're making something like, I don't know, Curious Cat or any of these platforms that allow you to like ask questions anonymously or vote on a proposal anonymously. You still want to prevent spam or prevent people voting twice, but you don't want to kind of like break the anonymous thing. You still want to be able to like have these people ask questions or vote without revealing who they are. And so if you did sign in with Worldcoin, sure, you would not know who this person is, but you would know, oh, this person, who I don't know who that is, just like did these 5 things. And as they do more and more things, you would maybe be able to start learning some things about them, like who their friends are or what kind of proposals interest them. Anonymous actions kind of let you reduce the anonymity pool to a single action. And what that means is, if I have a voting platform, I could make anonymous action for each proposal. And so within a single proposal, when someone is submitting a vote, I can, on-chain or off-chain, figure out, has this person voted here yet? Which is kind of what you want. But when you are doing something like a different proposal, if you're voting a different proposal, someone votes and you have no way of knowing these 2 votes from different proposals come to the same person. It's anonymous, so there's no way of knowing. As an example of how this might look like, we have this lens integration that we made a while ago that basically lets you mark your lens profile as belonging to a human. And ideally, this would help reduce spam or maybe be taken into account when they do machine learning. And if we go to the repository for that and the smart contract, and I'll try to keep this very simple so people that are not into Solidity don't get scared. Basically, the way that this works is we have a function here, verify, and this will get the profile ID. This is like the arbitrary argument that I am passing. Let me make this a little bigger. The arbitrary argument that I'm passing, and then these 3 arguments that Worldcoin just gives you. And again, this is on the documentation. We have a starter kit with everything that you need to get started here. And so basically, the first thing that we're doing is we're calling the verify proof method on chain. And this will just say, is this proof that the user has given me valid? If it's not, the transaction reverts, nothing else happened, your code doesn't execute. So you don't need to worry about any of that. After it works, here's where you would usually say like, okay, has the user done this before? In this case, we don't want to make it so that you can only do this once. What we want to make sure is you have only verified your profile once. So if you have already verified a different profile, we will first unverify it and then verify the new one. In this case, we're using this ID, this anonymous ID that you get from the anonymous action, instead of just like by checking true or false, has they done it before, more to store the ID that they have verified and revert it. So it's more of like an advanced use case. On the website side, we have this library called ID Kit. And it's a JavaScript library. We add React components, but if you're using Vue, Svelte, something else, you can still integrate with it. And basically just gives you a component here where you can pass an app ID that you get from our developer portal. We give you a QR for that in a second. And an action, which is just like a text description of whatever action, like voting in proposal, whatever, or claim NFT Tokyo. And then just an success callback. And basically what this will do is we'll open a model with the QR like you saw me do before. And then when the user completes that, you will get your zero knowledge proof on this result part. And this is the part that you need to send to your backend or your smart contract for verification, whatever you are. And again, I'm going to reiterate this because on previous hackathons, some people usually just like console.log the proof and get it done, you actually do need to verify this. Like, someone could just like inspect the element, change some stuff, and actually get you a proof that is not valid. So you do need to verify it, ideally not on the front end. So again, if you have a smart contract, that's the place to do it. If you don't, have a server, an API somewhere, verify it there. Very important. Otherwise, it's not simple assistance. And yeah, basically, you, as I mentioned before, have all of the things that you might need here. If you have any questions, you can go find us in the booth. We also have a little like GTP4 powered chatbot here that you can use. So if I were like, how do I verify proofs on chain? It will give you the answer and the correct pages. So if you just like have a short question, you could do that. Or if you have ChatGPT, as everyone does these days, and you have the plugins beta, you could also use that to ask the same thing, and it will have access to your logs. So again, trust humans more. We have a Discord channel. We have on the ETHGlobal's Discord, and that will actually answer all the questions there. We have a booth over there. It has like a nice purple shade, so you can find it really easily. You can also come find me really easily, I feel like. But yeah, you get the idea. Yep. Before my computer dies. And so, as I said before, this actually has a lot of really cool use cases. The main ones that we have highlighted are voting, are civil systems in general, but for airdrop, which is our original idea, uncollateralized lending, NFTs in general, consumer incentives. I mean, this is a hackathon. You probably have a lot of ideas, but you can use it for almost anything. And yeah, as I said before, the docs that have everything also have a list of suggested use cases that you may want to use for inspiration. We have 20K in prizes. I'm not going to read through that. You guys know how to read, and it's also on the website and on the starting kickoff that we're going to do later. But basically, like, choose whatever suits you best, and yeah. As I mentioned before, we have a developer portal that you can use. That's the QR code. If you don't manage to get it here, come to the booth later. We'll give it to you. It's fine. But yeah, this unlocks the developer portal that you need to use in order to integrate it, to have like a nice image shown next to your demo in the app, all of the cool things. I'm going to wait for like another second for everyone to take a photo. Yeah. Otherwise, again, come to our booth. We'll give you the QR code. And yeah, all of the resources that I mentioned, and even more that I didn't mention, like starter kits, more ideas, all example projects that we have code for front-end and back-end, are at worldcoin.org/ETHTokyo23. So really easy to remember URL. Go there. You have an Notion page with everything you would ever need. Again, any other questions that you may have, come to us on our booth, ask AI, whatever you want. And also, as like a little thing, if you want to see a demo of the anonymous actions, you can just like come by our booth and ask us about Worldy, and we'll just like give you the page to claim a nice NFT using anonymous actions. So you do need to like get on board with the orb in order to do this. Again, we're like demoing the thing. But if you want to get a nice NFT and try out the experience, feel free to do it. And yeah, that's about it. This is WorldID. It solves the whole civil assistant issue that we've been worrying about for so long, that is becoming more important even now with AI. Also, a really nice anonymous identity solution for anything that you may want regarding privacy. And yeah, it's here, and feel free to use it now. I hope you have a good time hacking. Do we have time for questions? Yeah, so anyone have any questions?
Hey guys. Well, thanks so much. Just a quick question.
Just like
okay, now it works. What's the typical proof generation time and proof verification time, just out of interest?
So, proof verification time on the on-chain is whatever it takes to mine a block, because that's what all transactions take on Ethereum. Well, this is Polygon, but all transactions take in Polygon, so I would say like few seconds. I don't know the average block time, but like I don't think it's more than 2 seconds. Proof generation, it's usually not the issue at all. The issue, especially in hackathons, is how much does it take to send it over, because Wi-Fi. But like definitely less than 5 seconds, usually less than 2. It's pretty fast. It also depends slightly on the phone that you use. If you have like a very, very old Android phone specifically, they can take like maybe 5 seconds or so. But like we've seen that in general, like the blocker is more sending the data over more than generating the proof, because it's just like doing math on your phone.
So I only need to verify myself once, either with the orb or the mobile, and then it will be with you forever.
Yeah, basically the way that it works is you verify yourself once, then you have the key forever. If you have the phone verification and you want to get the orb, you have to go to the orb. The phone is more of like what we call weak civil assistance, because, I mean, it's not that hard to have multiple phone numbers. I have two, but it's like harder to get like 100 or 1,000 or like multiple thousands. So this is why on apps we recommend to like add like tiers and kind of like give less access to the phone and more to the orb, because your issue is to prevent spam. Well, I mean, spammers can get phone numbers, but they can probably not get large quantities of them. So it's more of like this orb is not everywhere in the world yet. Like there's one in my city, there may not be one on yours. So it's more of like a temporary thing where it still gets you integrated with Worldcoin, makes it really easy to support both. And then ideally at some point, as we have more signals, you have like a more complete picture of like how human this person is, or like how human do we know this person is. Ideally, every person is human, but yeah, you get it. But yeah, basically you verify yourself once, either with the orb or the phone number. You have the proof and the key forever. If you want to kind of like update your verification, as in like you have phone and you want to like go to an orb, you can do that, but you don't need to like have an orb at home and scan yourself every day, basically.
Sorry, just last question. So everything of my personhood will be on chain as my World ID. What's the likelihood of, I mean, what's the worst case that someone hack it? How easy it is?
Right. Your personhood is not really on chain. What is happening with the orb or the phone number is your phone generates a private key, which is like separate from your wallet private key. And this key will be used to kind of like sign these proofs of personhood. So basically, on chain, there is just like kind of like the equivalent of the public key of this private key that you have. So in really, there's like nothing on chain of like your personhood in a way. Same for the phone numbers. The phone numbers are hashed and like and you just like store the public key. The phone numbers are not given to the apps or put on chain. And so basically, the way that we've done it, the worst case that could really happen is if you somehow manage to like export your private key and give it to people. Which is not supported in the app yet, but at some point maybe we'll let you export your wallet private keys. Then at that point, that person could like generate proofs, and then by that point, we will have a way for you to go back to an orb, invalidate that key, and generate a new one. But basically, there's no risk of like you even doxing yourself, so it is pretty secure. Yep. Yeah. Thank you so much. Hope you have fun.